the tape for this, our main event of the evening. We introduce the champion, Chris, the West Side Strangler Brennan. Let's get it on!
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Strangler Podcast. We are going to go over UFC 286 at the O2 Arena in London, England.
Yes, that's right.
Got it right.
Got it right.
We won't show you those bloopers.
There are many of them. And I always wonder how much people, before I did this, how much do people talk before? And usually we've
only had to edit one day.
Yeah.
And it was like 5 times in a row at the beginning of it. And other than that, we've just
I think that was my
gone
fault.
Straight off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been good. This is a stacked card. I think it's going to be good. I think we're going to go over just the final 3 fights of the main card. So we're going to start off with Gunnar Nelson and Bryan Barberena. 2 pretty seasoned fighters. Gunnar Nelson coming in at 18-5. Barberena coming in at 18-9. And I'm sorry, Gunnar Nelson's 18-5-1.
Okay. 2 drastically different styles. Bryan Barberena wants to stand in the pocket and brawl.
Yeah.
I believe his last fight was Robbie Lawler, and that's exactly what he did. He was kind of losing that fight until he was kind of losing that fight until he caught Robbie. And am I correct or no?
So he did fight Robbie. Since then, he also fought RDA.
Oh, and he beat him as well?
No, he lost to
he
RDA.
lost to him.
Yep.
So the fact that he lost to RDA, does it say how?
Submission neck crake.
Right. Leads me to believe that he's also going to lose to Gunnar Nelson. Gunnar Nelson is one of the tip-top jiu-jitsu guys in the UFC. He's got extremely good ground game. The only time I've ever seen him lose on the ground was to Damian Maia, and he made it look pretty. But otherwise, he has got great jiu-jitsu, and Bryan Barberena's got great beatings.
So Damian Maia, if I go back according to Sherdog, was a decision?
Yep.
Was it okay? It wasn't a submission.
I guess it was a decision, but he had one of the cleanest back takes. It was super, super nice. It was like I had to rewind it a few times because he hopped over and then shot back and his hooks were in. He was on his back, and I was like, oh, that was really nice. And especially, it would have been nice to see in a gym, but he did it on another very high-level jiu-jitsu guy. So it's like, wow, that was impressive.
So when you look at Gunnar, he's got Takashi Sato as a recent win and Alex Oliveira as a recent win 2018, but he's lost to Gilbert Burns, he's lost to the champ Edwards, who we'll talk about, and he's lost to Ponzinibbio recently. So it feels like he's having a hard time breaking through that top level, top tier guy. And
Bryan Barberena is the same way. He's not been to the top of the division.
He's got RDA and Lawler, which I know both of them are probably on lower
on the slide
on the slide.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
So, he's tough, man. He's very in your face and gonna let you swing away. And the problem with fighting like that, if he decides to try and fight Gunnar like that, he's gonna allow for the distance to be closed and Gunnar to get a hold of him. And if he gets a hold of him, that's gonna be a short night for him.
You said Gunnar's got good jiu-jitsu. Is his wrestling comparable as well? Is it just his entire ground game?
No,
or is it
he's from I believe he's actually from Sweden or somewhere over there in Denmark, but he trains
Ireland.
at SBG in Ireland.
He association. You know what? I think maybe he's born in Iceland, actually.
Okay, Iceland. See, I knew it was somewhere Nordic.
Yep. Cold.
Where does he train out of, though? SBG Ireland?
Yes, that's correct.
So he's out of Connor's gym where, those 13 fighters were out of on the last card we covered.
Right.
Yeah, so good ground there, or good ground for Gunnar. He's most likely the best guy in the gym. And so, again, a big clash of styles, but I see him getting the takedown and probably finishing Bryan Barberena.
So you don't think this goes a distance then?
No.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to see Barberena. If you look at him, he kind of looks like the Nordic guy. He's got the big beard. I mean, he looks like a Viking coming in there, and just physically looking at him, he looks like a guy that's going to want to go in and bang with you.
I'll go as far to say if it does go the distance and Gunnar wins,
yeah,
it's easy and he's on his back the whole time.
Yep.
If it goes the distance and Bryan Barberena wins, Gunnar Nelson got beat up really bad, and
he's wearing it.
Just survived.
Yeah. Well, I think it'll be a good fight for sure. I am super interested about this next fight. Justin Gaethje and Rafael Fiziev. Raphael's an interesting character. I did a little bit of research.
Yeah, you said you were listening to some stuff on him recently.
I did. So he grew up in Azerbaijan. He was born there, but I think he was in one of the Russian countries that after the USSR collapsed, they got their independence. He went into law enforcement and then did that for 5 years and then didn't want to do that anymore. So then he started training Muay Thai and he moved to Thailand for 5 years. Climbed the ranks really, really fast. So I guess it was only 2 years. And then from there came over to the U.S., fought in some promotions there. One of the craziest highlights I've ever seen, it was in Thailand against the champ in Thailand, and the guy went for what would have been like a high body kick, and he straight up was like the Matrix, bent all the way backwards, ducked it, and it doesn't look real. Like the balance that he had, it doesn't look like it's physically possible that someone could do that.
He does that in MMA as well.
Yeah.
He pulls really well to miss things.
Yeah.
And comes back in and throws with power. He does not have your typical striker's body. He's pretty thickly muscled, pretty jacked, and is a fantastic striker, which is exactly what Justin Gaethje wants to fight.
Really heavy hands.
Yeah.
Kazakhstan. That's where he's coming out. That's where he's out of.
Born in Azerbaijan.
Yeah, that's what it said. And but he's out of Kazakhstan.
Good wrestling really in both, but Azerbaijan's got some very good wrestlers.
Fiziev comes in at 12-1. Obviously, Gaethje's 24-4. I think Gaethje's resume speaks for itself.
His four are all guys at the top.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. And I was gonna pull up, see where what the one loss is for Rafael. I'll get there. Take a second.
What kind of streak is he on right now?
Yeah, that's the next thing as well. He is on a 6-fight win streak. Magomed Mostov. I'm
butchering it?
Yeah, I'm totally butchering it.
Was it in the UFC?
It was UFC Fight Night.
Rafael. Or Magomed.
Magomed, yep.
Magomed.
He's a Magomed. And it was a TKO spinning back kick and punches.
Okay.
Other than that, he's got a win against RDA. Brian Riddell, Bobby Green. So outside of RDA, I'm not seeing any names here that are really noteworthy.
Right.
But when you look at his wins, 2 unanimous decisions. I guess out of his last 6 wins, he's got 3 decisions and 3 finishes, all by KO.
By KO, yeah.
Yeah.
Josh Thompson's high on him. He talks very highly of that guy. And I'm not sure what Jimmy fights out of. Do you know? Did he say?
Let me see.
He's again, he's got great striking, and he's fighting Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje is one of those guys who has that USA Wrestling tattoo on him that you will never know that he wrestled. The best wrestling I've ever seen out of him was Michael Chandler picked him up in the air, slammed him on the ground, and he rolled right out and was up on top and back on Michael Chandler's back.
Yep.
And I was like, oh wow, that was impressive. Other than that, man, he's just there to
just throw hands,
the human highlight reel.
Yeah,
you know, and that's his nickname.
Fiziev trains out of Tiger Muay Thai. He's a Muay Thai guy.
That's in Thailand.
That's where he's really. That's his basis. He converted over into mixed martial arts, but I don't know what kind of ground game he has, and I know he's got to have some.
Right.
But his brand is to stand and bang.
Yeah. Oh, I don't see him trying to go to the ground with Gaethje at all.
I don't. Why would?
He's going to be the way more technical striker.
For sure.
If Gaethje was smart, he would wrestle, but I'm sure he will go out there and see what he can do on the feet.
My opinion on this, and I'll be really curious to hear yours. Gaethje's a great striker. He's the human highlight reel. I don't think he has the toolbox that Fiziev has. The high kicks, the traditional Muay Thai. You know, it's the art of 8 limbs, right? I don't know that you see that repertoire coming out of Gaethje.
I don't know that he's a great striker. I know that he puts on great fights while striking.
Okay.
Hits hard.
Gaethje.
Yes.
Okay.
Hits hard, has a great chin. Doesn't throw a lot of straight stuff. You know, he met Michael Chandler at the Wild. You know, when Michael went wild, he went wild. So I don't know. He has a great striking coach in Trevor Whitman,
Yep.
you know. So he has the capability of being a great striker, but I don't think that he is a great striker when he fights. I think he's just a great fighter that strikes.
When I think of Chandler, I think of somebody that he winds up, he throws big. Those overhands are
Everything's going to hurt you.
Everything's going to hurt you. I feel like Gaethje's got power, but I don't feel like he overswings as much as Chandler.
He doesn't overswing, but he's a little bit wide. He may throw from right here, but it's going to be
it's that,
here over the top. Here, it's not a lot of straight stuff down the pipe, and Rafael Fiziev will expose that by being straight.
And the head movement, just going back to that, if you haven't seen that highlight reel, just look up Fiziev head movement or kick duck. If you find it, it's unreal.
At the same time, when he does that in MMA, would be a perfect time to shoot on him. When he's pulling, that'd be the perfect time to shoot on him. If Gaethje had that in the game plan at all, which
he has the ability to do with his
100%,
wrestling background.
100%.
I mean, he has it for
he
sure.
He uses his wrestling as anti-wrestling. For those who shoot, so he could stop the takedowns. He uses it for the takedown defense, but
he uses wrestling for anti-wrestling. That's really interesting.
The wrestling is the key to MMA, right? If you want to get down to the ground to use your jiu-jitsu, you got to wrestle. If you want to stay on the feet and strike, you got to stop the wrestling with your wrestling. You got to anti-wrestle, basically.
Yeah, what was it that Tim said on the podcast? There were two kinds of MMA fighters, those who wrestled and those who wished they had wrestled.
Right. 100%.
That's I had never thought of it in terms of using your wrestling skills to not wrestle.
Right. Speaking of Tim signed a super tough fight yesterday.
Okay.
So we have a great camp ahead of us right now. We're about 12 weeks out, a little less than 12 weeks out. He's fighting Alan Nascimento, who's a phenomenal jiu-jitsu guy.
Okay.
So we've got a couple guys here that will be firing off subs from the bottom at him, for the entire camp.
Can you say when that fight is? What's the
it's
date
June
of that?
3rd. There's not a. It says TBA on where it's at.
Okay.
To be determined or to be announced, whatever.
So it's gonna be like a ESPN fight night kind of thing.
It is a fight night, and I'm hoping it's in Vegas. That would be great for me. Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I don't think you didn't make a prediction on this one. Are you going Gaethje?
I'm gonna go with Rafael Fiziev.
Yeah, just based off of the video and the highlights that I saw of him, I like Gaethje a lot.
I do too, and I honestly didn't like him when I first started watching him, and then I started listening to him talk, and I started liking him more and more. Then I started watching him fight and listening to him talk, and I liked him more and more.
Yeah.
So I do like him. I just think that, like Michael Chandler, one of my favorite fighters.
Yeah.
God, man, where's your fight IQ? You have the ability to win the fights you're losing if you just fought with your strengths.
Yep.
And so I know they want to put on a great show and they want to make the crowd scream and go wild, but at some point you got to win, right? And so now he's fighting Conor, right? Michael Chandler and Conor are fighting. They're filming right now the next season of Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
He could easily beat Conor.
Sure.
But I don't know.
155 Conor. Maybe 170 Conor. I don't know.
Either way, if he used his wrestling
and
his ground and pound and his overhand strikes, but if he goes out there and strikes with Conor, there's the same fight that's taken place for the first 5 fights in Michael Chandler's UFC career now.
Yeah.
And
isn't he like 1-4 in those 5 fights?
2 and 3.
2 and 3.
Yeah, 2 and 3. But he knocked out Tony Ferguson and he knocked out the guy from New Zealand or Australia. I forget his name. I always forget his name. Dan Hooker.
Oh, Hooker. Sure.
And then, he lost to the champ and Gaethje and someone else.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and see.
Anyway. So Gaethje has the tools to win the fight. I just don't know. So far, he hasn't shown me that he's going to use those tools to win the fight.
Putting you on the spot here a little bit. Gaethje's got 4 losses.
Yeah.
Can you pull out who those 4 are?
No, but I know one of them, I believe, is Poirier.
Yep.
One of them is Oliveira.
Correct.
One of them is
Goat.
Yep. Khabib.
Yep.
And I don't know who the third one is.
Eddie Alvarez.
Eddie Alvarez. So that was Eddie Alvarez's first win in the UFC, I believe, and he came over, lost to Cerrone right off the bat. and then I think he beat Gaethje and someone else to fight Conor for the belt. Or no, he got the belt because and then lost it to Conor. That's how Conor ended up.
It looks like he got it out. It was against RDA.
Okay, yes.
If he had the belt, and then he lost it to Conor, had a no contest against Poirier, beat Gaethje, lost to Poirier again.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, all his losses have been at the top of the game, and looking at Rafael Fiziev has not fought those guys at the top. RDA is the top one, and they've both beat him, right? Gaethje beat him as well, or no? Gaethje lost to him. No, Gaethje beat him.
Gaethje, I'm looking where RDA is on here. I don't see a Gaethje RDA fight on his resume.
Okay. Regardless, I think he definitely hasn't fought the competition that Gaethje has, but I think it's not going to matter since they're fighting each other the way they're going to fight each other.
He hasn't fought the competition in the UFC, but if you think about just going up against a pure striker, what he did in Thailand,
sure.
You could maybe argue that he's fought harder, more competent strikers, just because it's pure traditional Muay Thai,
right.
So
right.
I'm excited for that fight. I think it's going to be awesome. The main event, this is what everybody's going to be tuning in for. This is Edwards Usman 3.
Leon, what do you think about this fight?
I went back and looked a little bit. Leon handled Usman pretty good in round 1, and then just got worked rounds 2, 3, and 4. Right. And he came in. You could hear the desperation in his corner.
Oh yeah.
You could see it. Even Rogan, there was a minute 30 left, and Rogan's talking about how it looks like he's just basically resigned himself to the fact that he's not going to do anything. And it was one brilliant move that changed it. It's really hard. I'm torn because I really think Usman is probably the better fighter, and not even probably
overall fighter. I agree.
I think he's definitely the better fighter. I wouldn't even say probably, but. And I would go in leaning really strongly for Usman.
Yeah.
But I go back, and I know it's different, and I know MMA math is weird, but then I go back and think about Aljo and Petr Yan. I think it was number 2 was the one that was the head strike that Aljo got the title for, and Petr Yan was running him over that fight. Right. Then they fought again in a rematch, and Yan did not look good at all.
Yeah.
And it was a rematch. I think Yan had one more. Aljo didn't have anybody, and then they went right back at it. I feel like it wouldn't surprise me at all if Edwards comes back and maybe ups his game a little bit, and it's a different fight. So that's the only thing that gives me pause is thinking about a situation like that.
If they were more equal in their strengths, I would say I agree. Could the same thing happen again? Yes. Could Usman eke out those last minute and a half without getting knocked out and win a decision? 99.9% of me says yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's what will happen. I think he'll be a little more on alert.
Yeah.
His hands will be up. He might not fall for the feints. He might stay at range a little more and might close the distance a little quicker. I think he wrestles him for 25 minutes. I think he even lands a bit more on the feet because Leon doesn't want to get taken down repeatedly, so he's going to be a little more reactive to the feints and to the shots. So Leon is always going to have the puncher's chance, but I think overall, I don't think you can't make up wrestling, unfortunately, in a short period of time.
In a camp.
Right. It's a long process. And to beat someone like him at it, who took you down, I don't know how many times, but in 5 rounds, it had to be at least 5 times. But there was multiple takedowns.
Yeah. I don't think I have that, but
it
was a lot. I mean, he might have taken.
5, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think in 2, 3, and 4 at least, he might have had 2 takedowns per round.
Right. So I think, if he can work on putting him away on the ground, That's a possibility as well. So I'm going to go with Usman.
Yeah.
And with an asterisk of Leon could knock him out while losing the fight.
Yeah.
He's not going to beat him up in a 5-round decision. He's never going to beat him in a 5-round decision. He won't be able to control him to beat him in a 5-round decision. So he's either going to finish him, which is possible, or he's going to get beat handily for 5 rounds.
In football, if you've got a running back that gets fumbleitis, he's dropping the ball. You've seen coaches where they're like, you're carrying the football with you at lunch. Like that football's in your hands. Wherever you go, you're holding on to that football.
Right.
Is there an equivalent in MMA for keeping your hands up? Is there something that trains you to, because
yeah,
you know what I mean?
I'm punched in the face,
Well,
and they kicked
yeah.
in the face.
Sure.
So that's my, especially because he already got kicked in the face.
Yeah.
So I would imagine he's going to be very weary of it, and hopefully not fight scared because of it.
Right.
But still be confident enough to go out and do what he was doing before.
So this is where the chess game comes in. Edwards knows that Usman has been training to keep his hands up and to avoid what happened last time.
Sure.
So now what can Edwards exploit, knowing that Usman might even be over-trading to keep his hands up? Where does the window open up when you keep your hands up like that?
Yeah, knees. He needs to. We're talking about Leon right now, right?
Correct.
Yeah, he needs to bite, on Edwards or on Usman's shots with knees, with uppercuts. Not a lot of straight high stuff because he's going to get under him. Knees and uppercuts, set up something with your backhand's going to uppercut, lead with the right hand and have an uppercut. Those are going to be the things that slow down Usman's shots. You land one, and even if it's not the fight ender, it's going to change the next shot. It's going to change. Even if he gets a takedown, he's going to change the way he shoots the next time, and I think that's going to play a big part in it. Usman really needs to lower his level and feint to see what he's biting on, to see what he's throwing off of that, or what he almost throws off of that, what his feints are, what his reaction is. Then he can either decide to feint that again to get him to throw it, then shoot, or he can throw it and clinch upper body and play with him up there because he's very strong in the upper body. But he really needs to see what Leon Edwards is throwing back.
Okay.
He really needs to get him to bite on something to see what he's going to throw back. Not what Leon's feinting, but what he actually fires back when he feints a good shot on him.
Do you think the first round is going to be slow while they feel each other out and do that, engage in that chess match?
Maybe, but I also see Usman coming straight out and putting him on the ground right off the bat and just starting to wear on him early.
Usman's a freak physically. Does that physic? He looks huge. Does that translate into actual strength? Is he as strong as he looks?
I mean, he looks like it. He looks like it in everyone he's fighting, and he kind of ragdolled him the last time. He ragdolled Leon Edwards the last time he fought. So I'm going to say yes. If you look like that and you're a wrestler, you're probably even stronger than you look. Wrestlers some of them don't even look strong, and they're freaky strong.
Yep.
So I think that him being built like that and being that good of a wrestler, I believe he's probably extremely strong. And if he has the gas to go 5 rounds, I think he can really wear on Leon, making him get up and making him fight to get up over and over again until he's exhausted.
Usman's resume before the loss. I mean, these are all pretty recent. I'm sure they're top of mind for a lot of people. Colby Covington, Jorge Masvidal, Gilbert Burns, Masvidal again, Colby Covington again, Tyrone Woodley, RDA, all wins. Just a gauntlet of fights. And it seemed like all of those, he's got a decision against RDA and Woodley, and one decision, I guess a decision against Masvidal and against Covington, but all of them are unanimous. I don't think any of them were close. It feels like the level of fighting that Usman's been on recently. And really, had it not been for the miracle punch, he would have handled Edwards. We'd be looking at that fight the same way we'd be looking at all these others, is that he was just dominant.
Listening to those names, though, that makes me think even more that GSP is still the GOAT at 170.
Okay.
Just by the guys he went through. So he had Covington twice. Cool. Covington can't knock out a cat, right? Like he's
Yeah.
going to pepper you a million times, but there's no danger factor besides he's going to take you down 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Masvidal is way past his prime, had a couple of really great showings in the last couple of years, and then kind of faded again. And his age is catching up to him, or at least his time in the cage is catching up to him.
Yep.
RDA, we've just gone over like 6 people that all beat him.
That was in 2018, though. That was 5 years ago. So
Yeah.
that was already a little bit. And you do have a 2021 Gilbert Burns in that mix as well.
So Gilbert Burns is the one that's still on that top level. Pulled off, or actually lost, right, to Chimaev.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
lost to him.
But
and
went
beat-
5 rounds. And
Yeah,
it was,
yeah, he
it's a
did.
good fight.
But he was number 2 or 3 at the time.
Yeah.
And not to say Chimaev, even though he wasn't ranked or was outside the top 10, he was still like fighting a top 2-3 guy. But I just feel like he is. I don't think he's faced the competition that GSP faced at the time, and so I know that he's great. I know that he is talented. May beat GSP now, but I just feel like right now, at least at 170, GSP is still the GOAT. He's my overall
Yeah,
pick for it, but
absolutely.
But at least at 170, he for sure is.
What do you think if if Edwards does find a way to win this fight, that's got to
Then
put
GSP
him.
is definitely the GOAT.
So you're saying that says more about Usman's ability and less about Edwards?
Well, GSP lost early in his career to Matt Hughes.
Yep.
Came back, beat
Beat
the
him.
crap out of him, beat him. Lost later against Matt Serra, came right back and beat him. If Usman loses and comes back and loses to the guy again,
Yeah.
then he's gonna not get him next and now have to fight in the rankings, whether it's 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1, but he's not gonna get that title fight's not gonna be next again. So then we'll actually see where he's at when he fights somebody else without the mentality that he's the champion,
And this is high stakes for both fighters because this is number 3.
Right.
Number 4 doesn't happen. It's only happened one time, I believe.
Seems like it, yes.
And I think we just had that fight. I'm trying to even remember who it was. It was literally a win and a loss and a draw. We just did it a few podcasts ago. Who was it?
Bad memory, I apologize.
I should know who it is too, but I can't think of it. But I don't know that it doesn't happen very
Yeah, it
often.
doesn't.
I think that's the only time it's ever happened. So I feel like whoever wins, it's gonna be a while before they get a title shot because nobody wants to see a 4th.
Right.
So, I don't know if you've heard anything about this. During the press conference, there was a rumor quoted that Colby Covington is the backup fighter if one of them misses weight.
Okay. They've been doing that a lot lately, having
Yeah.
backup fighters.
Yeah, having them go through a camp, make weight, be ready to go.
They're getting paid for sure for it.
Yeah.
But tough for the guy fighting, not him, but the other two, if one misses, because they train their camp for the guy they're fighting, not for Colby
Yeah,
Covington.
sure.
You know what I mean? And that's probably a drastic change in styles to, like, especially for Usman. Leon Edwards already fighting a wrestler, already knows he's going to be having to stop takedowns, but he's fighting a wrestler with power. Colby Covington doesn't have power, but he's got amazing cardio, speed, and takedowns.
Yep.
So for Usman, he now has to worry about takedowns as well when he knows he's not going to be taken down. Well, he did get taken down, I think, one time by Leon Edwards.
First round.
He did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. And it was
Yeah.
like, oh, wow, what the heck?
And I think
Caught him off guard.
And Edwards was raining on him too.
Yeah.
Like there was
Yeah, everyone was shocked when that happened. I
Yeah.
forgot about that, but yes.
Edwards has never fought Covington, so that's interesting. Obviously,
Yeah, that would
Usman
be.
has fought him twice, so I'm sure he would come in there thinking, well, I've done this before. I know what this looks like.
What has Jorge done last?
Jorge?
Look on there, Masvidal?
You want me to look what he's?
Yes, because him and Edwards got beef to settle. And if he's coming off a win, it might happen. Oh, never mind. He's coming off 3 losses in a row.
3 losses.
So he
yeah.
shouldn't get that fight at all.
I mean, really, like Nate Diaz in 2019, and then the Ben Askren.
Covington, Usman.
Those are the last two wins that
And
that
they
Masvidal
lost
has.
to Usman and Covington.
Usman, Covington.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, so he won't get that shot.
Not for a bit.
No.
Super excited to see how this goes. I think my opinion is the first the title fight is probably going to be the slowest of the. Slowest is the wrong word. I think it's going to go pretty much as everybody. I think it's either going to be 5 rounds of Usman doing what he did the last time,
right.
or he may finish him sooner. Fiziev and Gaethje, I think, is going to be awesome. Gunnar Nelson and Barbarian, I think, will be fun.
Yeah, that'll be a good one, too.
But I actually think for this one, the main event might be the slowest of the 3 fights for me.
We'll see.
I don't know.
We'll see.
I don't know. I might be eating my words. We'll find out.
Again, I'll go. I think I picked Usman, but I'm going to pick Usman again with the asterisk that Edwards has a shot.
It's that Dumb and Dumber, right?
Yes.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
Right.
Go.
Guys, please subscribe to our channel, like and share the show, and come back for the recap of this when the weekend is over. Thank you.
It is all over.